Good evening, Khethiwe. Thanks very much for your time. But first, just your thoughts around the letter, the open letter that Vatiswa Ndaka wrote.
I think it was heartfelt, and I think it highlighted a huge number of issues that affect the industry and that are pertinent to where we need to go. We need to transform the industry. It is one of the least transformed industries in the country, and we need to fix it structurally. We need to look at the regulatory, we need to look at the legislative, and we need to look at the policy environment that surrounds the film and television industry. In other countries, the film and television industry is seen as an open door to job creation because of the way in which we are able to employ huge numbers of people. It's seen as an industry that can change as we move into the fourth industrial revolution and open more doors. Other places are really investing a huge amount, not to say that the South African government isn't investing, but at the policy framework level, we are falling far short of where we should be.
Why has it taken so long to get where we are right now, which is, as you say, is far from the ideal? In fact, the panel I had last night was saying to us, even the bill that is sitting with the president currently, that everyone has been saying he should sign as soon as possible, in fact doesn't address the issues that Vatiswa Ndaka is raising in her letter to the Minister of Arts and Culture.
Well, I think it's twofold. I think that the bills are problematic in the sense that they, particularly the Copyright Amendment Bill. The Copyright Amendment Bill is structurally flawed in the way that it's been written and the way it's been constructed. So we need to re-look at that. And what's happened is that they've coupled both the Performers Protection Bill, Amendment Bill, and the Copyright Bill. And what happens within these two bills is very problematic. What's said for performers and protects performers in the protection bill is taken away in the CAB. So there's structurally a problem with these two bills, and we think that we need to readdress those bills and take them back to Parliament. The President shouldn't sign them, and we should see how we can fix the problems which are at a construction level of a bill, and look at how we can reshape them to empower creative workers, because creative workers could be the backbone of our country as we look at the sunset industries fading. We need to look at other industries that are going to rise, and the policy framework should be supporting where we're going. And at the moment, it's debatable whether that we're really reaching that point. So we want for those bills not to be passed and to be re-examined because structurally they don't work. The Performers Bill on one hand says they're going to get all these rights, but they're taken away in the CAB.
But what is the problem? Is there a lack of will to get it right? Or is it a lack of knowledge to put it right in legislation? Or are there powerful interests, that are actually pushing for this far from the ideal scenario?
Well, unfortunately, there are huge global powerful interests that are pushing. So if you look at what happened in the European Union and you look at what's happening in South Africa and around the world, that the major tech industries really want for us to have our content available widely for free. So they've really pushed government into, or pushed for their agenda to be taken up. And for us as creative workers to find it difficult to remunerate ourselves already.
Why is the government listening to them and not to you?
Well, I think that there have been structural problems in that there hasn't been a regulatory assessment process where we look at the bill and look at its impact in terms of the industry. There hasn't been a rigorous process. The way in which the bill was passed through, we were given very short amounts of time to respond to various bills, and it was pushed through at various levels very quickly. So we found ourselves on the back foot as the creative workers, and we weren't engaged with because there was an almost predetermination. And one of the problems is that when we look at the structure of our economy in our country, we have a hugely marginalized part of the economy which cannot find the resources for education. So creative workers have been the fall guys, because we're now going to be, because we need to get library books into universities, because we need to get textbooks, the IP and the copyright legislation is being used to enable that to be free, but it's not going to enable this industry to work structurally well.
Quickly, we've run out of time, but I have to ask you this because you are a producer and a filmmaker, but you've also been, a commissioning editor and representing a broadcaster dealing with people like who you are right now. Now, is there nothing that can be done within the obvious very limited space with all the structural challenges that you refer to? Is there nothing that can still be done to make sure, to like really deal with the plight of actors in particular?
Well, I think that if we get the Performers Protection Bill right, and also if we get terms of trade. I think terms of trade with broadcasters have been problematic. They don't exist, and producers have been arguing to get them in since 2002. So we haven't reached a place where we have them. And so what's happened is that things have begun to crumble. We haven't had an increase in the average amount of money it takes to create a drama, for instance, since 2006. And so that has meant that, in actual fact, how much we make dramas for is 50% less than it was. That means that actors aren't paid well, that crews aren't paid well, that the way in which we shoot is extremely fast and is detrimental to the health of workers. People make mistakes because of the way in which the industry structures. So we need to have terms of trade. Fortunately, the IBFC and the IPO are working with the National Film and Video Foundation to do a research around terms of trade and the legislative environment to ensure that changes and supports the industry. However, the two bills that are really at contention, we need government to really say, no, let's take them back. It's not a problem to take them back because the other bills have been in place since 1978. If we take them back now and reassess and remend them, we will be able to get an industry that will work and will be a world-class industry.
That's where we're going to leave it this evening. Thank you very much for your time and insights this evening. Khethiwe Ngcobo, who is a film and a TV producer.